All right, welcome back to the channel. I thought I would ride around today, just take a look at some of the trees that I come across and just see what we have and give you some information on them as they come about. So we'll see what comes up. I'm gonna be driving around Austin on my little wheel, and yeah, I know we'll find something because it's not hard. We don't have to go far to find anything at all, so stay tuned. Okay, so this didn't take long at all. I only went a few blocks, and anyway, let's kind of go through the process of diagnosing, and I have very specific steps that I go through typically. This is a little different, but you'll get the point. So what I'm looking for as I walk up to a tree, and if there's multiple trees like this, I'm looking for symptoms in the canopy that are consistent in various species. Like we have a cedar elm right here. It looks pretty good for this time of the year. It's fall, and so they're going to be dropping their leaves soon. We have pecans here, and we have symptoms. We have flagging, where the leaves and little branches are turning brown throughout the canopy. That's called flagging. When symptoms are similar of various species, or you see symptoms or signs across many species in one particular environment, that's usually abiotic, like weather, water. There's something that's been going on that's affecting them all. Whenever you see it in one species in particular, usually it's either specific to that particular tree and its little microclimate, or there's insects that each species is a little more prone to, and same with diseases. And pecans, this is something I've seen on pecans a lot. I don't want to assume too much yet, so I'm going to take a closer look. Okay, so one of the things we want to look for is if this symptom is similar in other species. And I actually see it in the pecan here, and I see it in this live oak over there, and many other pecans. So that tells me that we're probably looking at an abiotic situation. And let's start from the basics here. Whenever you come up to a tree that's looking suspicious, the first thing you want to do is know if it's dangerous or not. So I'm looking through the canopy to see if there's any large dead limbs or apparent dead limbs that are hanging in the tree. If there are, you want to be careful, of course, walking underneath it. The other thing we want to know is if the tree is leaning, does it have any major leans to it? Are there any obvious cracks? We don't want to be walking up underneath a tree that has structural issues that could fail at any time. And in fact, I was talking to a customer years ago about a large portion of the tree that she was concerned about falling. And as we were standing there, I said, I could not get to her fast enough. Our company could not get to the job quick enough before it might fail. I said, it needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. And really, literally, almost immediately when I said that, that large portion of the tree started to fall, and it fell right down. It fell down on a car, which was what she was worried about happening. So it can happen anytime. And there's arborists that die every year because they're looking at trees and portions fall. Okay, so we want to make sure that the tree is at least structurally sound with a quick little look. And you really want to walk all around the tree. I just kind of walked around part of it, but you want to walk around the whole tree. Make sure it's safe. Make sure it's not leaning. Make sure you don't see any heaving in the soil. Make sure we don't see any root flares or the base plate of the tree kind of lifting up. That could mean that the roots are failing and that the whole entire tree could fall at any time. Okay, so now that we know that, we know, okay, it looks like the tree's pretty safe to at least get a little closer to. That's when it's good to know what kind of tree we're looking at. There's apps that can help you with that, but that's just, I know that this is a pecan, and this time of the year, this foliage is about right. I mean, obviously not the dead portions, but it should have green leaves right about now. It should be dropping the leaves soon. And certain species, you know, you got your deciduous trees, like the pecans, they drop their leaves, and we need to know if that's typical for the tree you're looking at. And I will show you in a little bit how to tell if a tree is alive or not. I can't quite reach any of these branches to show you. But it's clear that this tree is alive. So we move on to what are the symptoms or signs that we're looking at. Right off the bat, we've got flagging. That's where you've got portions of the tree that are brown, got dead little branches, and it's kind of throughout the canopy. Same with this one over there. We've got it going on there. We've got it going on with this one. And then what makes this very interesting, or at least a little more complex, we've got it going on this live oak, and we'll go take a look at that in a minute. Okay, we can tell that the tree looks fairly safe initially. Well, one of the things we want to look for as well is, are there any fruiting bodies on the trunk? Like, are there any mushrooms in addition to cracks and things like that? We want to see if there's any mushrooms, particularly down at the base. There's many diseases that are really bad, and pecans actually happen to be pretty prone to getting it. One of them is Ganoderma. Initially here, I see no symptoms of Ganoderma, so that's good. And on a side note, the symptoms we're looking at on the tree does not seem to match Ganoderma anyway. So I don't see any major mushrooms or fruiting bodies on the trunk. And if you do, we could have a serious situation again. That's where we need to watch out, because that could be a weak portion of the tree. There could be decay there and the whole tree could fall. So, okay, I don't see any fruiting bodies. I don't see any major signs that the tree is ready to fall while I'm standing here looking at it. So I'm going to move on to the next phase. How does the leaves look for the tree species? It's good to know what kind of tree you're looking at. Okay, I know this is a pecan, and it's a deciduous tree, but it should have leaves like this time of the year. If you're looking at a tree that has no leaves, it's a little harder to know what type of tree it is, but maybe you already do. If there's no leaves, I'll show you here in a little bit in the video of how to check and see if it's alive. I can't reach any of these branches to show you, but I can tell it's alive because the leaves are green. So now we want to move on over a little more towards looking at the leaves. We want to look to see if it has any spots. Many of the spots you see on trees, usually it's fungal. Not always. There's many things that can cause leaf spots, but most of the time it's fungal. It can also be a bacteria. It can be some insects as well. I don't see anything major on this tree, which, by the way, if you have about 15% of the canopy that have symptomatic leaves, that's no big deal. Okay, so we don't have any major foliar diseases. As far as leaves go and foliar diseases, they're not as big a deal usually, but that's where we can tell a lot about the tree. But fungal leaf spots that are fungal tend to have shapes that are round, and in the middle of the circle, you'll have usually dead tissue, and then it's brown or yellow outside of that. A lot of times they'll have like a yellow halo, and that's fungal. If it's bacteria, it's a little more angular. The bacterium doesn't tend to cross the veins as much, so you will see more of an angular, irregular shape to their spots, but they're more triangular and rigid on the edges. They're not as round like a fungal disease. That's nice to know. Fungal diseases that are foliar are usually not too big a deal. They're just an additional stress on the tree, and we want to minimize stress as they accumulate. Bacteria, that's different. If it's a bacterial disease like bacterial leaf scorch, that's a bigger deal. That's a long-term thing, and that's when it's good to know if it's a bacterial leaf scorch. Sometimes that needs to be determined with a lab test, which, if you really want to know what disease it might have, a lab test is the way to do it. Okay, so we'll get into diseases and insects later, but let's go back to this tree. I don't see any spots that make me think this is disease-based. What I do see is the flagging. That seems, and it's crossing over into the species of the live oak. That makes me think this is a little more abiotic, as in something is happening like in the canopy, either from mechanical damage, soil compaction, too much, too little water, wind, high wind, things like that. But as I look, I know pecans are prone to having squirrel damage. Squirrels, particularly in droughts, they'll start to girdle freshly. They'll girdle vigorously growing little branches to get the moisture. And I am looking for that to confirm that. We don't want to assume too much. I don't like to assume. And I like to find evidence of what I'm thinking. Okay, so I do see the evidence I was looking for. This is going to be really hard to see without binoculars. But right up here, there's a little dead branch. If you follow it, it's actually a twig. And if you follow it back to the branch, there is some green tissue where the squirrels have just been chewing on it. They girdled that limb, so that killed off that little twig. We move on over to the live oak, just to confirm this as well. Something that's abiotic and crosses different species. We want to see if we've got the same thing going on. Oh yeah, look at that. We have, that looks like high wind. That's some storm damage. You probably can't see it here. That looks like that little branch got torn off. So I do believe we had some high winds. And then we certainly have some squirrel damage here again. Right in there. We got squirrel damage. Looks like we had some high winds. And here we go. We've got a little tiny hanger right there, as well as some squirrel damage on it right in the middle of the branch. But it's broken up at the top. So that looks like high wind came through here and broke off some of these small limbs, as well as we have some squirrel damage. But they can both be happening. What came first is the squirrel damage. That might not have been why some of these limbs broke off, but it's definitely part of the reason why we see some flagging. So I'm not seeing any major diseases or any signs or symptoms of diseases on any of these trees we're looking at right now. So that's good. So then we move on. Okay, so to be moving on fairly quickly here, I'm going to contribute the flagging that we're seeing in the live oak and the pecans, because there is evidence of squirrel damage in the live oak and the pecans. But also there are some broken limbs, what I'm going to attribute to either high wind or possible damage of when a tree climbing crew was here, because there's evidence of recent pruning cuts. And so they might have actually been a little sloppy, accidentally broke some limbs off while they were moving larger dead limbs. That's possible. But all of this is abiotic that I'm seeing. I'm seeing no biotic symptoms of diseases or nutrient deficiencies or anything like that. So let's move on and keep on riding around town. I know we've got other stuff to see.